welcome, welcome. Okay. I have to explain myself before I do anything. Also, I have to sneeze. Sorry. Okay, I have to explain myself. I'm drinking because it's a celebration today. Today is a special occasion, so I'm imbibing. Notification sent late. I think it's sent when I hit actually go live. I was a bit late. I was a bit late today because I was getting my drink, and I also okay. Do you guys know how it feels when you are in like high school or like in elementary school or something, and it's like the day that you have a big presentation and you have to do it in front of all of your classmates, and it's worth a huge amount of your mark. Like it's just such a stressful presentation. Like, you know the feeling when it's like your gut is like you're dying, you're doing flips and shit? Guess what? That's what's happening right now. Because I don't think this PowerPoint will ever actually be finished. I did try my best to condense as much information as I could into it. But oh my god. I don't think I'll ever be ready to present this because it is so difficult. Because he is my favorite character of all time. He is my Kami-oshi. It is very hard to be articulate in talking about him, especially to people who don't know Yu-Gi-Oh! GX as well as I do. I tried my best to describe things that you would probably need to know, that I would probably talk about or like mention in passing. I tried my best, but it's really hard to be like, what exactly is the light of destruction and the darkness? What does the gentle darkness mean? Blah, 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 all of that business. It's so difficult to do. Wow! Lily, you subscribed! Thank you! Thanks for the sub! Tier 1 for 6 months in advance. Wow, that's like until the end of the year. Thank you. Hello. I didn't say hello to everybody. Hello. Okay, I'll go through everybody's names. I'll say hello. Hello, Colossal. Hello, Cinder. Hello, Lily. Hello, Volty. Hello, SlayerFan06. You made a stream. Fog. Dude, I gotta say, I don't think you guys would ever understand how much I love Chazz. I literally was making this PowerPoint and I was like doing like kind of rush edits before the stream. I cried so much. I was like, he's just like so inspiring and like cool. It got bad. It got really bad. Also, I don't know if you guys know how much of a time commitment this is, and my voice is really messed up, so I'll try my best to make it as fast as possible, but we're looking at 56 slides right now. We're looking at 56 slides of content. I hope you're up for it. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat because I will be able to read the chat at the same time as presenting. I am multi-talented. I can do that. And I don't know, if any of you guys makes a funny joke, obviously I'll read it and I'll respond. Hey, Garrett! Welcome to the stream! Welcome back! Nice to see you again, too! That's commitment. He's my Kami-oshi, man. Like, not a day has gone by since I watched Yu-Gi-Oh! GX that I have not thought about Chazz Princeton. It's bad. I have like a little acrylic stand on my table that's sitting like right in front of me. And he's just like looking at me and he's looking so cool. And then I have my little plushie of him as well that's just looking at me and I'm like, this is a good day. But I wanted to explain something about the timing because his birthday is on August 1st and I'm presenting this now. Because in Japan, probably around the time that this stream will be finished, it will be like the night before Chazz's birthday, right? So I wanted to make it like a celebration to be like, because he was born in Japan, why not do it like it's Japan? I don't know, I'm cringe, it's dumb, we're rolling with it. And I want to spend all of August 1st, all of my August 1st, watching Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, so I wanna be well rested for the binge that will happen. Is that cringe? I think it's probably fine. It's probably normal. Anyway, I'll just jump into the presentation. I think I'll just jump in. Oh. And the music. We cue the music. It's time. Are you guys ready? I don't know if you guys are ready. You're cringe, but you're free. Exactly. Just wait. I made a meme. I made a meme for this PowerPoint that is I may be cringe, but I'm free. You'll see it. But I wanted to give a little bit of like an introduction, and also I have notes, so I'm reading off of my notes too. Sorry. But if you haven't watched Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, or you don't know anything about like Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, things that happen, or if you don't remember any insignificant piece of information that happened in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, I am so sorry. But I'm expecting you to know it. I'm expecting you to know it, or at least like go like when the VOD is done, when I upload the VOD, go back to it and like go on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Wiki or something and like read about what I'm talking about. Shit is nuts. Excellent first side notes. Thank you so much. But yeah, basically I'm expecting you to pause and like research and look at things and look things up. I'm so sorry. This is like a university lecture. I feel like I'm asking too much of you, but it's for my man, so I would do that. Why wouldn't you? But if you don't know anything about Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, I have you covered. I'll give you some notes, some like rough outlines of things that you should know going into this. So like let's just jump right into it. Oh my goodness. Is the slide working? It's working. This is great. This is awesome. There's a little bit of scuff. I've never used like the Canva slideshow features before, so I apologize. It's the vibe. Okay. And honestly, I think the biggest struggle making this PowerPoint was figuring out how to describe the things that happen in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. I'm just going to list them out. Light of Destruction, bad. The Darkness is also bad. The Gentle Darkness is like a mixture of the Light of Destruction and the actual darkness, so it's not that bad. It's like the natural state of things, as it were, like the ideal state of things, etc. And there was indeed a zombie apocalypse arc and interdimensional travel, and that interdimensional travel did lead to an actual genocide. And they all happened in season 3. Don't question it. Season 3's pacing was weird. It was kind of fucked up. I don't really like it. But anyway, let's continue to the actual content. Here we are. Welcome to the Chazz or Manjome birthday PowerPoint Extravaganza 2025. This is probably the first time that I'll do this live. I did not make it far enough into GX to know about that one. Also, fun fact, all of like the weird stuff that happens, like the genocide and stuff like that, it's normal for Yu-Gi-Oh, but it started with GX. So that's something. Interdimensional? You mean the multiverse? It's iffy. It's iffy in the lore on if it actually like is multiverse or not. Really just don't question it. They never explain it. And if they try to, they don't do it well. But yeah, this is probably the only time that I'll do this live because I'm not a very good presenter. But how are we doing? Are we doing good? I never asked how are you doing? I hope you're doing good. I hope you're doing well. Because let's be honest, I feel like I'm asking a lot of you right now. But more importantly, are you ready to get absolutely blown away by my GigaChad GigaBrain knowledge of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX? If you're not, leave. If you are, I'm sorry. But in celebration of Manjome's existence, and on the eve of his birthday, hopefully it is how it works if it ends on time. And if I upload this on time too, because let's be honest, I'm uploading the VOD. I'm honestly doing great. That's good to hear. I'm doing good. I've prepped myself for the purposes of chazzing it up. I'm ready for some game theory level lore. I don't think it'll happen. I don't think that will happen. But this PowerPoint and me presenting this PowerPoint is actually me making good on a promise that I made on my personal Twitter like 2 years ago. Cause on my personal Twitter, I kind of got like a little bit famous for making a 79 slide PowerPoint of Chazz, all about Chazz. And I said, oh, I'll present it sometime. Sure. And I never did. And now I am. And a lot of the memes you might have seen floating around on Twitter, they are mine. Don't dox me or don't look them up. Don't take a screenshot and look it up and then find my Twitter. Shut up. Don't do that. But yeah. Technically this year, it would be Chazz's 36th birthday, so I'm very excited. But yeah, I'm not good at presenting, but I wanted to prove my devotion for Chazz, so here we are. Now, again, if you're from my Twitter, which most of you probably aren't, you might recognize his image, because it's the first ever slide that I ever showed off of the original Chazz PowerPoint. And it's kind of a legend. It's kind of a legend on the niche Yu-Gi-Oh! GX community in, like, certain circles, if it was 2019. But the OG version kind of featured a lot of memes of the time, and it's fucking cringe. So I'm not doing that. I'm not presenting that. I decided to trash it, overhaul it. It's how you do. And it won't see the light of day again, except I think I reuse a slide from it directly in this PowerPoint. But again, don't judge. You see it and you don't judge. But instead, with the original PowerPoint, I didn't make it as a means to analyze his character. I just said, I want to show off how the funny guy is my favorite. And then I went with that, okay? So it's not like that now. It's not like that now. Now it's much more, I'm crazy. But at its core, it's the same, because, I mean, look at Chazz, and also it's short. The original slideshow was, what is it? It was like not 79 slides. The original one was 79 slides, and the one that I cut up for use in the stream was 104. And so we're looking at about half of that, which isn't too bad. I think I did a really good job with that. I think I'm really proud of that. But yeah, first order of business, who the fuck is this bitch? Short answer, he's Chazz. Longer answer, because obviously the entire fucking point of this PowerPoint is talking about him. Chazz, or I call him Manjome. Like, really, with any Yu-Gi-Oh! GX character, I flip-flop using the Japanese name and the English name. That's just how it goes. But Chazz is supposed to be the main rival character of the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX anime, and he just really wants to beat Jade and Yuki, who's the main character, obviously. What he turned into by the end of the show's run isn't exactly that, but Chazz's introduction in the anime makes him out to be a really big deal, despite how in the later seasons he's kind of insignificant. And funnily enough, the main character trait of his is his fear of failure and his fear of being insignificant, so yikers, you know? But at least he didn't end up like Bastion, whose entire gimmick is that nobody remembers him and nobody notices if he's there. So at least he's not that, but still it's not that great. I'm sorry, King. But what really stands out about Chazz, and what was going to make him a lot more relevant as a character, is that he's the only other cast member outside of Jade and the main character that can see and interact with Dual Spirits, which are like the main gimmick of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. It sets it apart from like, oh, Yu-Gi-Oh! DM, or Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, or Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, or whatever. Like, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX is hinged on A, taking place at school, and B, you can talk to the duel monsters, they're your friends and your pals. But Manjame is also significant in that he provides a philosophy for the show that is always countered by Jaden time and time again throughout every single season, and it's that 99% of a duel revolves around strategy and intellect and, you know, using your brain, and only 1% is made up of luck. The idea is brought up in the second episode, which was Chazz's like real character introduction, because obviously he made an appearance in episode 1, but it's just like, oh, he's just an asshole. Now he's a person. Now he has agency. Number 1, chilling out with the crew in the schoolyard. Number 2, ghosts are real. 3, genocide. You forgot about the zombie apocalypse. You forgot about that one. Sorry. Sorry to correct you, Volty. But basically, this is like a really good introduction to how Chazz is, because whenever he falls back on like, oh, I gotta use the 99%, I gotta go with the intellect versus everything else, he kind of crumbles. See, he doesn't have a lot of faith in himself, and he doesn't have a lot of faith in, like, the cards that he uses, because a lot of the time his cards are weaker. So whenever he falls back on, like, I just want to win, I have to duel to win, I have to use my big brain, he always fucking fails. Like, I'm so sorry, man. He really does not believe in himself. But Jaden, on the other hand, seems to duel with only that 1% in mind. He's the antithesis to Chazz's mindset, and even outright rejects it when Manjomi brings it up in episode 2, sorry. And that's what makes their rivalry really, really compelling, is that they are so at odds, but somehow they coexist, and they're buddies and they're friends, and it's cute! Shut up! I'm a big shipper, so sorry. Sorry, I'm gonna bring up Yaoi. But especially considering with their rivalry that in season 2, Chazz's mindset totally shifts about Jaden and like their so-called rivalry, and instead uses the fact that we're rivals, we're bound together by our constant mental battle. Ooh, I'm so tensai, or whatever. He's really chuny. But he actually ends up using that as a crutch to hide how he really feels about Jaden, which is that he just wants to be his friend and he doesn't want to be left behind. So if he stops making these grand declarations of rivalry, Jaden will leave him behind. So again, he does not believe in himself. And even though he has like a support system in season 2 and at the end of the series, he still sees Jaden as some lofty goal to strive toward, but will never be able to reach. Big deal. So gentlemen, I'm gonna quote a weird, obscure movie called The Dead Poet Society to explain the 4 pillars of Chazz's character. So what are the 4 pillars? Chip on his shoulder, people pleaser, desperate, smelly. Those are the pillars. And all of these pillars are remedied by his friendship with Jaden and his friendship/found family with the Ojama Trio and his other fostered dual spirits. Instead of pretending to be confident, which is like his normal state of being, it becomes very genuine. He doesn't play this authentic self off as a joke, which he does a lot in season 4. And he stops caring about what others think of him, except when it comes to Jaden. He really likes thinking about what Jaden thinks of him, which is, I'm not even going to beat about around the bush, that's just straight up gay. And, yeah. He really is just Foster's home for imaginary friends, but in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. And this is him being smelly! This is him being smelly! Everybody makes fun of him for being smelly, but, you know, that's just how he is, and you gotta respect. They made the Yu-Gi-Oh! Hygiene rule with him in mind, I swear. He's a little stinky, he doesn't watch his clothes. I get that. What happens if we give Chazz sugar? Don't. It's like if you give a mouse a cookie. Okay, I did say that the old PowerPoint would never see the light of day again, but that's kind of a lie. Because this section is a remnant of the OG PowerPoint, which I called the Chazz forms. And I'll say it now for the people who don't know. Chazz was in a cult. That's what the Society of Light is. Chazz was in a cult in season 2. Just so you know. But what I was trying to get at with the Chazz forms was basically how he acts throughout his different phases that he goes through during the show's run. But as I was transferring that information to this PowerPoint, I realized that it's actually much deeper than that. Because Chazz was still evolving even within those forms. Like, he was still changing. He was still growing. And the only way that I was able to track those changes was through the sheer amount of decks that he used throughout the seasons. So let's talk about them. But first, I just want to get this out of the way for the people who don't know Yu-Gi-Oh! In Yu-Gi-Oh!, people put their hearts into their decks. They put themselves into their decks, and then the heart of the cards will work in their favor. It's like, if you love your cards, and you have faith in your cards will come out when you need them to. It's just that simple. And it's been that way since episode 1 of Yu-Gi-Oh! DM, and is the primary reason that a duelist would have what's called in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX good draw power. Literally meaning that they can consistently draw cards that are right for the situation. It's literally Yu-Gi-Oh! 101, heart of the cards. And Chazz is an interesting case in terms of the deck that he uses, and that it always changes. Throughout the entire show's run, he's used 18 unique decks total, and that's like a new deck for every single one of his duels, which is fucking crazy. All while the main character, Jaden, only used 4. Even when he was a member of the Society of Light, i.e. the cult, his deck changed more often than any other duelist in the show. So we have mainstay characters like Alexis Rhodes and Jaden, whose decks remain relatively consistent in terms of their end game, and the only times where Alexis and Jaden's decks do change are when they fundamentally change as people. So Alexis, under Sartorius' control in the cult, uses Ice Queen cards, and Jaden, as a Supreme King doing the genocide, uses evil heroes. But also don't forget in the manga, when he changed from elemental heroes to masked heroes, or in season 2 when he got his Neospatians, a fundamental change equals a major deck overhaul. And that's something that I believe was intentional throughout all of GX. Just something to think about. So, the end games with Obelisk Blue Chazz, so the first Chazz form, they hinged on two different sort of playstyles, which is sacrificing pawns in order to steal control and win, and using a power number, so like a swarming and merging strategy, in order to look bigger than he actually is in order to win. And the endgames tell us more about the type of person that Chazz is than one might realize. What could simply be an edgy rival character using edgy and volatile and scary cards and corresponding strategies is instead an integral point of what made GX show how Chazz treats himself and how he treats others both on and off the dueling field. That's very interesting. His decks also reflect the situations that he's going through during his feature episodes. So as an Obelisk, we'll be able to understand his self-image, the level of desperation that he has to succeed, as well as how these factors and other factors outside of that, like his brothers, affect his dueling and other interpersonal relationships. It's so fun. And I have to explain one more thing. Which is the formatting of this section. It's not complicated, so don't worry about it. It's literally going to take 2 seconds to explain. The next section of this PowerPoint will give you like a layout kind of like this. As you can see, big card. Big card is either the ace card of the specific deck or a card that has particular significance to my analysis, or it's just that it's fucking funny. Bro's got funny fucking cards. Second, the 3 little cards here are either key components of the strategy that I'll talk about while using that deck that he had using that deck, or they're just aesthetically pleasing, or again, if they're just fucking funny. Hi, Quiet, welcome! Sorry. Oh, also I have episode numbers in the corners, in the bottom right corners. So if you wanna look them up, see what I'm talking about, you can. The episode numbers are right there for you. I was very thorough. So we're gonna start out with the very first duel in episode 2, which is a zombie deck! And his zombie deck has death and rebirth imagery already in play from the get-go. And from what I've mentioned previously, or maybe I haven't mentioned and I'll mention it later, because again, I did switch around a lot of the slides for this presentation, so excuse that. But Chazz's story is one of bouncing back from failure, from being like akin to a phoenix rising from the depths of hell to regain his former glory. And funnily enough, all of the character development that surrounds like, oh, he's rising from the ashes, hasn't happened yet. It just hasn't happened yet. So why is it important to me that it's there? You could read this as a very clever foreshadowing because season 1 of GX is full of that. Like, Jaden tells a scary story at the beginning of a Jinzo episode, and then guess what? It's foreshadowing the big fucking bad from season 3. Or at the end of season 1, Professor Banner tells the episode numbers. Is it actually? Oh, I'm sick. Whatever. Who cares? This is fucking episode 2! Anyway. I'm mad. I've gone through this formatting 50 million times. I don't want to do it again. But Banner tells him everything that will happen in season 1, season 2, season 3, and season 4. He talks about the light of destruction. He talks about the darkness. He talks about the gentle darkness, and he talks about a demon that's going to go to the school and look for Jaden. That's just crazy. But outside of that, I also see it as a way of understanding who he is at that particular point in time. So, like, he sees himself as a zombie being used as a pawn by his cronies. His status gives, like, Conklin and Topher similar social status, so he's, like, upholding everybody. It's very nice. It's very cool, except it's not very nice for him. It sucks. But for Conklin and Topher, it's nice because they get to eat pretty for free.
Because it's like, oh, we're Chazz's friends. We're Chazz Princeton's friends. He's rich, and he's good at dueling, and he's cool. You could drop a references to the VOD. Yeah. No, I will do that. I will do that. I have one written out already. It's okay. It's okay. I was just sad. I was really wanting it to work out. I tried it 50 million times to see if it'd work. It's okay. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We're supposed to be happy. Except we're talking about something really sad right now. But again, Chazz is used as a pawn by his friends, his so-called friends, and his brothers, who we also have not been introduced to yet, in their plan for taking over the world by monopolizing the realms of finance, politics, and duel monsters, which I don't know why Yu-Gi-Oh! Would be so big in that, but okay, go off. Go off, Princeton brothers. Go off, Kings. And not only are these monsters fairly weak in terms of attack points in this deck, with Reborn Zombies clocking in at a flat grand and Mephist, his ace monster of this deck, clocking in at 1800, but they're mostly used in order to summon or steal stronger opposing monsters. Sacrificing his own creatures is fair game for Chazz with this deck, so sacrificing Reborn Zombie to use Chthonian Polymer's effect, which is stealing control of Jaden's Flamewing Man, and even using his Chthonian soldiers as a means to take cheap shots at Jaden's life points with their special abilities. He even wants Jaden to destroy his monsters in order to use Chthonian Blast, which evens out the playing field, all because he had planned out Jaden's moves from the get-go from the first time they saw each other. Bro lives in his head rent-free. His brothers are Raz and Baz. No. Okay. Mephist the Infernal General also basically pays to destroy monsters or deal direct damage, so that's literally the entire point of Yu-Gi-Oh! That's what the end game is. That's the easiest thing to go for, is just, 0 life points. Good job, you win. But Mephist also deals piercing damage, so even if a monster is in defense position, his opponent's life points aren't safe. And also with Mephist's effect, if he deals damage, the opponent has to get rid of a card in their hand, send it to the graveyard. That shit sucks. He's building upon sacrifices of his pawns in order to disable Jaden, basically. And you can't exactly counter your opponent's moves if you have no cards. That's simple. I'm not going to talk about this yet, but Chthonian soldiers have a particular level of synergy with Chthonian Blast, and they're literally the same archetype. But it pays for them to be destroyed. The other player gets the same damage done to them whenever the soldier is destroyed, so kind of like, what you think you can do to me will bite you in the ass later. However, it also pays for them to swarm, and I'll talk about the swarming later. But you know, just know that it's there. They swarm. It's a big deal. Is it truly a Yu-Gi-Oh! Series if there isn't a guy homoerotically driven to beat another man at a card game? Oh my god. Truly, it would not be Yu-Gi-Oh! Without that. Yu-Gi-Oh! Needs their little polycules of main characters. Everybody in a relationship. Everybody is either bisexual or gay, unless explicitly stated otherwise. That's what I always say. Okay, but in episode 4, in this next duel, this is where his strength in numbers bit comes in. So this particular deck is interesting because he isn't sacrificing anyone. Just wait until we talk about the Beatrons with his Transformers. And instead, he's working together with a teacher at the school, Dr. Crowler. So he's merging the XYZs and the VW monsters in order to defeat Jaden. So his strength in numbers also comes from the help of an adult with power within the Duel Academy system. This raises the question of, is he being used by Crowler, or is he the one in control here? And I hate to say it, but it reads more as the former. I don't know what Chazz might be thinking. He probably thinks the latter. He's probably a little stupid. He probably thinks that he's in control. Sorry, man. No. He still holds a grudge against Jaden from the events of episode 2, even though their duel never fully concluded. They never knew who won or who lost. He still has beef for some reason. But he also did kind of suggest that he duel Jay during the exam. And yes, we haven't been formally introduced to his brothers yet, but you can tell that he's trying to prove his worth to the people who have authority over him. So again, Dr. Crowler. And another note on the themes of power and control with this deck comes in the form of V to Z's special ability. So with XYZ Dragon Cannon, oh my god, I really just said Z. With XYZ Dragon Cannon, the duelist controlling the monster discards a card from their hand to destroy an opponent's card. Easy as pie. It is the most simple and direct form of control, which is outright destruction. But Vita Z has two effects. The first being similar to XYZ's in terms of, oh, if you want, you can get rid of a card. But this time it's without a cost and it banishes them from the game, so they can't be used again. But the second effect, and the one that I care the most about in regards to the theme of control, is when Vita Z attacks an opponent's monster. Basically, in that scenario, the controller of Vita Z gets to choose the battle mode of the attack target. So while using Vita Z combined with the help of Dr. Crowler, because again, Crowler, they're fusing their powers. Chazz was given both the power of choice, like to choose how Jaden goes, but he's also given power and control over Jaden's movements, no matter what. If he doesn't like what Jaden's doing, attack position, die. It's easy as pie. But in any case, it isn't just the merging of these guys that it's interesting, it's also the fact that they need to swarm, and swarm quickly in order to pull off the archetype wall.
Canadian Sag Z, shut up. His voice is in my head right now. He's guiding me.
Wow, I literally just went, wow, cool robot, to your thematic reading of his cards. He's like, wow, cool robot. I mean, that's what they are. And this deck, the Infernal deck, it could have been beautiful. His only failing was fucking telling the guy who just showed off his basically bomb vest. He's literally just a suicide bomber, but for Yu-Gi-Oh! His whole vest of different archetype decks. Like, oh, he's like, I have a water one here on my nipple. I've got a fire one near my crotch. I've got like 76 decks in here, all hidden under my jacket. And he was like, yeah, I'm using a fire deck. I'm just straight up using a fire deck. And I'm gonna burn you and you're gonna die. What kind of crack are you on? This dude literally just said that he has any deck ever. Like the theming, wow, yeah. Shush. But literally, it's like he wanted to be demoted at that point. But we know he didn't. And also because he lost this duel, spoiler alert, he loses the duel in episode 12. Everybody afterwards, when he disappeared and ran away from the school, everybody thought he killed himself and they laughed. They laughed at him. They were like, good riddance. Which is like, damn. He was also getting severely bullied at this point. That's something that I wanted to explain, but again, it would take too long. So yeah, he was being severely bullied at this point, and everybody made fun of him for killing himself. Passion brings new meaning to fire crotch. Shut up! But anyway, with this deck, he literally just combines my two original points, so like the power and number strategy, and yeah, swarming and merging. Very cool, very cool. By using Chthonian Alliance, which is giving one of his Chthonian soldiers 3,600 attack, basically giving him attack points for every other Chthonian soldier that's on the field. Very strong. And then sacrificing the sucker, and then the rest of his hand, and his board, to summon a Giga Monster, Infernal Incinerator. He definitely takes a lot more risks in this duel, especially when he discards his entire hand and board for a single monster and acts more desperate than either of his last duels. See, before, he used his Chthonian soldier's abilities as a means to toy with his opponent, but here he's just so desperate to beat Bastion and beat him quickly that it's like, bro wasn't thinking. Bro doesn't care. And this episode was also the first time that we encountered Chazz's brothers, along with, as an audience, being able to see how Chazz's family situation puts a strain on not only his dueling life, but his social life. That's a lot of pressure. He literally had a call with his brothers. His brothers are like, if you get demoted after this duel, we are literally disowning you. You suck. I hope you die. And then he was like, well, shit, I shouldn't lose. I'm gonna run off and I'm gonna destroy my opponent's deck. I can't deal with this shit. Obviously, it didn't work, and obviously, he lost and got demoted and ran away like a little baby. Raz and Baz are assholes. They really are. Screw Raz and Baz. We hate Raz and Baz. But basically, it gives us an understanding as to why he'd act so rashly and desperate, because that's how he's feeling about trying to uphold his way of life, regardless of if it serves him or not. Regardless of if it's a nice situation to be in. Because honestly, I think he should have just fucking ran away from home. But then again, that kind of thing is hard, and I understand that. And that's okay. But this deck being primarily a fire attribute deck, specifically a self-destructive fire deck, indicates to me this idea that he's burning out, or at the very least, he's on a Phoenix on his last legs. He's like, he's burning out. He's gonna die. This will, I wanted to make this joke, but I feel like I shouldn't, because I talked about all the people laughing at him for killing himself, but it was a wash. Because the water dragon destroyed him, and it brought waves, and he died. Yeah. Not a good joke. Anyway, for his North Academy decks, specifically the first instances of him using armed dragon monsters, his endgame shifts from physically and like really forcefully taking control of his opponents, as was the case with like Vita Zed's ability in episode 4, to using monster effects that limit his opponent's use of their monster zones. So Chazz uses Armed Dragons and Lightning Vortex, cards that wipe out all of his opponent's monsters on the field, and uses his Ojamas, either Ojama fusion abilities like Ojama King or Ojama Knight, or cards like Ojama Trio, to give his opponents like Ojama tokens and basically fill his opponent's monster zones. Also, there's a lot of disruption. That joke was a wash. Shut up! Shut up. Bro learned field controls where it's at. On God! But this is the first instance of him using the Armed Dragon deck. It's in episodes 25 and 26, which are called the school duel, because it's a duel at school, between schools, for schools. And the Armed Dragon cards show his initial climb from the depths of quote-unquote hell. The way he acquired these cards was due to the Chazz or Monjome sweep that ended up being the North Academy entrance exam. My goat washed 50 people in a row. Batty on God. And during this exam, he learned 2 important qualities, which are humility and respect. He also found out that people think he's cool despite running away from Duel Academy, so that's nice. However, his deck fails in the fact that he's trying too hard. He's too desperate to prove himself in the face of his brothers literally being there at the duel, and hasn't found a way to fully realize Ojama Yellow's potential within his deck. So it shows that while people look up to him and respect him, he doesn't really have the close bonds and feeling of togetherness or feeling of, faith in himself and actual genuine confidence to do anything. He sucks. Chazz victory royale against North Academy. Shut up. I don't know why. I just imagine him playing Fortnite. I don't want to do that. Don't do that to me. But see, Ojama Yellow can only really become powerful with the help of his other 2 brothers and other support cards, obviously. And Chazz still feels like he has to live up to others' expectations of him all on his own. So he's still gonna put up airs, put up facades, try to be cool when he's obviously not. I'm sorry to say. Now here's the Armed Ojama deck that he uses in episode 39, one of my favorite episodes. But dare I say, this is the merging of his personas? The Ojamas represent himself in many ways, whenever he plays them, it's usually at a point where he wants to be seen as himself. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. But it's not necessarily being cool or anything, it's just being who he is, which is a little bit stinky. And the Armed Dragon, as shown in the previous slide, shows his cool climb from the depths of hell, or at least showing the fruits of his labor, considering that the dragons are a symbol of being the top coolest and student at North Academy. And they were given to him as both a trophy for his accomplishment, the 50-person, the Victory Royale, the sweep, and it was also a gift. The students and the Chancellor at North Academy genuinely liked him, and they wanted him to succeed. So using these in cards in tandem with the Ojamas show that he's kind of understanding his own worth and strength with the help of those who admire him. I can't tell if you said purr or fursona. Purr! Purr! P! Purr! Do you think he would have a fursona though? That's kind of like a sidebar. Like, would he have a fursona? Never mind, I don't want to think about him. I don't want to think about Chazz being a furry. But basically, episode 39, as a whole, was dedicated to showing off, depending on which version you watch, how cool or how goofy Chazz can be despite the appearances that he tries to put up. Hi, Eclipse! Welcome to the stream! Welcome to the stream! I'm just yapping and presenting a PowerPoint. Just yapping. But how are you? How are you doing? This fine early morning / evening. Chazz scaly confirmed. Why would he be a scaly? Why would he be a scaly? I think he'd be a Humie. Because he's a human. Armed dragons. Oh, God. But what about the Ojamas? What about the time that he cosplayed as XYZ Dragon Cannon? Would Chazz have a persona? My sister in Christ, she wears a full Ojama yellow suit. I know. Fun fact, I don't know if you know this, but in the background, as you can see, well, I don't know if you can see, I kind of blurred it. It's I put up an entire collage of Oja Manjome, which is Manjome in an Ojama yellow suit. Don't question it. Don't question it. But episode 39 sees us take it around. Take it around. We meet Danzalug. We meet the Dark Scorpions. It's all amazing. It's all great. And we have to solve a murder mystery stream. A murder mystery, but it's not a murder mystery. It's like a heist. It's weird. It's weird. They treat it like a murder mystery, but it's like a heist. But it's like a group heist. But they don't know that it's a group heist. Anyway, Detective Thunder makes an appearance. Or I guess the Chazz, depending on if you, again, watch the Japanese or the English. But basically, in the Japanese, a lot of the time, he's very cool. A lot of the time, he's a very cool kind of guy. He's very, not necessarily calm, but definitely, like, full of himself. And then in the dub, he's cringe, and he's goofy all the time. Oh, God. It's a PowerPoint presentation on Chazz versus. I'm so sorry. If you don't know him, I don't think this will be a good introduction to him, but you know, go off. I'm gonna take a sippy. This is, by the way, the toll that this is taking on my voice is extreme. I apologize. Drinking is very important this stream because it's gonna be kind of long. But basically, we see the gap moe. We see the divide between the Japanese Manjome Thunder, Detective Thunder, and the Chazz in English. So in the dub, he's an actually good detective. He's actually a good detective. We see when there's fumbled evidence, the evidence is never fumbled by him. The people bring it up, like Alexis brings it up, like, oh, I found like a fake nail on the floor of my room. He's like, that's an actually good fucking clue. Thank you so much. And then she's like, I threw it in the garbage. I'm stupid. And he's like, well, fuck. Thanks a lot. And he did that. It was basically the formula with that, with everybody. Everyone was like, oh, I found this awesome clue. He's like, great. Give me the details. Show me the evidence. And they're like, I threw it up. I threw it out. I cleaned up the footprints. I'm so sorry. Or, oh, I filled the hole in my dorm room wall. That's great. That's not great. And in the Japanese, he did not do that. Instead, he was like, I fixed this for you because you're stupid and gross. Says the guy who doesn't wash his uniform for 6 months straight, by the way. But basically, what Detective Thunder shows us is that he trusts the Ojamas. And I didn't want to include this because it would, again, add to the runtime of this, and I don't want it to go on for too long. But it really shows his blind faith in the Ojamas, despite how much he hates blind faith, right? Like luck, blind faith is only 1% of a duel. It's only 1% important versus intelligence and stuff like that. But he really relies on them more than actual physical evidence because he puts all of his cards in different places in the rooms where the heists were occurring. And he's like, I trust in my guys to tell me what's good. I trust in my guys to tell me who's the snake, who's the thief. And it's like, bro, that's great and all that you trust your cards, but at the same time, that's fucking stupid. But I mean, his cards pulled through. They were right. But that's just a little funny, you know? Like, he really cares about his cards. He really starts to care. Okay, and if you know anything about meme culture, you're gonna recognize Dramatic Crossroads. You're gonna recognize it. It's a very popular meme. It comes from this episode 47.
called in the dub Chazanova, because it's cringy and it's about how he's in love and he doesn't know how to communicate with girls. Great job, great job. Thank you, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. Totally needed that. I did not need that. This episode makes me red in the face. It's so cringe. But the reason why I included talking about this deck is because it tells us a lot about him. Like, it's a silly deck, it's a one-off deck, it's like all anime exclusive cards. It's funny, it's silly, and I think that's it, but that's not it. It's very important that it was built with the storytelling of the episode in mind, instead of just like finding cards and then putting them in a duel and making it realistic. It's like, here are some full original shits to tell you, the viewers, and us, the viewers, that Chazz does not like being directly confronted with his feelings, or telling other people about his feelings, or communicating anything directly without some sort of mask or air or facade or some sort of power play going on. So, there's not a lot to talk about, but I'm going to proceed to talk a lot about it, so I'm very sorry. But outside of the lot that I'm going to talk about, it's really, this deck is just the blind assertion that Chazzy is not very upfront with his feelings and doesn't take well to making the first move. So cards like Hidden Wish and Love Letter in this episode are depicting a level of non-confrontation that he's shown to have towards the people that he cares about. Like, this even happens with Jaden. He doesn't really confront his feelings with Jaden either. So he avoids them, he shuns them, but he's always looking on in the background. He's always thinking about them. They live in his head rent-free. However, the catalyst of Chazz becoming a creepy simp is this episode and this particular deck, so thanks, Atticus. You made the worst plotline in history. I'm kidding. Chazz being in love is cute. It's cute. It's fine. So, Love Letter, the titular Love Letter in Love Letter, is left in a locker rather than being delivered directly and in person. The feelings are not even being conveyed through word of mouth. It's in the title, but it's also worth noting that with Hidden Wish, particularly, it shows that the boy in the artwork is infatuated with like a more mature woman, so kind of creepy. But it's also like, it feels like Chazz knows that Alexis is out of his league in terms of maturity, but he still likes her. He's still like, wow, she's so cool. And he just won't tell her about it. Except this duel is all about him telling her it through the cards, which is, again, really, really cringe. And it makes me want to die a little bit inside. But yeah, basically, that's what that card is all about. That's what those cards are all about. Love Letter, Hidden Wish, they're like, I don't want to tell you my feelings directly, but I will look on from the shadows, basically. I will be a child about this. He's being immature. And with Treasure Map, there's another level of indirect communication in that the trap itself is response-based, only activating in response to being sent back to the hand, being returned, received, recovered in some way. And beyond this, if you use a treasure map, or at least how we look at treasure maps if they're portrayed in media and stuff like that, you're far removed from whoever created the map. On top of this, you're being guided to a destination, to a resolution by the person who created the map. In this case, Chazz set the treasure map, so he's the one that's hiding it. He's the one that's saying, there's the map, there's the rules, and whoever uncovers it will be able to find its secrets, right? So, Alexis is being guided by Chazz, who is being guided by Atticus in a sense, to do certain moves, to make certain moves. This is even a thing with Dramatic Crossroads. It's all about guiding Alexis to one place, which is his arms. If only he pulled the card Emotional Honesty. That's so true. Oh no, if only he pulled the card Don't Be Cringe. I'm kidding, I say it all out of love. But on the card artwork for Treasure Map, there are multiple branching paths that end up converging at one singular point. This convergence from different starting points could then reflect Chazz and Alexis' beginnings, being opposing in some way, and then eventually coming together in friendship and love. Wow! And speaking of branching paths and indirect communication, Dramatic Crossroads' artwork is literally a branching path. But unlike Treasure Map, these paths lead to different outcomes rather than coming from different start points to converge in one place. Dramatic Crossroads
is another response-based trap specifically designed for the opponent to make the first move and make important decisions, with most of these choices being meant to disrupt their game and basically hand Chazz the win. So again, there's this weird power play. And the artwork depicts exactly what's wrong with Chazz's approach. He's basically forcing Alexis to make specific moves under the guise that they're her independent decisions. He's manipulating her by making her believe that there's only one way to go about the duel. And of course, you would want to take the path that leads to the bright, safe castle more than the evil-looking mansion, right? And this sort of manipulation of Alexis actually appears in Season 2 as well, with one of his decks. So I guess she's just easily manipulated? But the key with the deck in particular is this element of exchange and sending cards from the field to the hand. In the case of exchanging cards, it's like exchanging pleasantries or giving gifts or doing romantic gestures that he wants to do in person, but he knows that Alexis is out of his league, so he's too embarrassed to do so. Unfortunately, chazzing up and rizzing are mutually exclusive concepts. Oh my god, don't do him like that. I don't know. I think he's pretty cool. I think he could rizz me up. I'd rather chazz it up any day than bro. Okay. With the North Exam and the Rejects, these are again sort of like one-off duels that don't really conform to Obelisk Blue Chazz or North Academy Chazz. But they're all about showcasing Chazz's adaptability, so his desperate climb to prove himself to be worth placing somebody's trust in, right? And so usually I like using the featured card section to showcase a card that has a particular level of significance to his character. But this time I put Giant Rat here just because I fucking like Giant Rat. So ignore that, but shout outs to Giant Rat. Well, any Giant Rats in the chat? Oh, Giant Rat, yeah! Okay, but in terms of importance, his use of Gyakugire Panda would definitely be up here instead of Giant Rat. But using Gyakugire Panda in tandem with Ring of Destruction and Ring of Defense shows a level of skill and genuine mastery of the card game that's often forgotten. Like, people don't remember that he has that. I'm the giant rat that makes all of the rules. Dude, we're gonna get color. Color? What the fuck? We're gonna get into trouble! We're gonna see what kind of trouble we can get ourselves into. What the? I am drinking alcohol right now. I'm so sorry. Okay. But not only does Chazz understand how these effects would work in tandem with each other, but he was also aware of how his opponent's marauding captain's effects, while seemingly very dangerous for him, could be flipped and used to his advantage, again with Gyakugire Panda's effect of basically gaining attack points for every warrior type monster that's on the field. Crazy. And now in terms of adapting to situations on the fly and also having some Jaden level draw power on God, his duel with the Tsar is one for the history books. It really emphasizes how good his draw power can be when he believes and understands both his cards and himself. He was confident enough in his deck, a deck that he had to scour the Arctic for in order to piece together and basically play with in one day, that he baited the Tsar into attacking him directly with a Metal Zoa, so that's 3,000 points of damage, and you have like 8,000 to deal with, 4,000 to deal with. That's not fun. So taking the damage that was required to activate Inferno Tempest, which is a dangerous card, because in activating it, you have to remove from play all of the monsters in everybody's deck, which is really risky, I gotta say again. You literally cannot emphasize enough how risky that play is, especially because he still had to face down Tsar's field of monsters, being a Zoa and a Metal Zoa. But on his next draw, what kind of miracle should appear but fucking Chaos End, which, if you have any brain, I'm kidding, not any brain, but you know, if you have any knowledge of Yu-Gi-Oh, you'd know, Chaos End destroys all the opponent's monsters on the field. And then he activated fucking Return from the Different Dimension and just walloped that biat into the next century. So a lot of things had to miraculously work in order for him to pull this off. And this duel especially shows that while he may make fun of Jaden for relying solely on luck in order to win duels over strategy, he's actually realizing the merits and the innate value of luck. So that's what we call character growth, babe. Giant rat. Is he gonna find 4 turtles and train them? Stop! Beast move. Dude, literally bestial. And with the reject well spirits, he's acting defensively. Because A, his brothers forced him to, and B, deep down, he doesn't really want to hurt his brothers, or at the very least, he's scared of fighting back against his brothers, even though he has every right to. They're mean to him, they bully him. And his cards showcase his knowledge of duel monsters, studying the effects of even the weakest of cards. But again, they also showcase how quickly he's able to pick up on his opponent's strategies and parry them, while also being non-confrontational. He had a fucking attack point cap of 500. And he still won, because he's a genius, because he's a baddie. He's, I can't get over this duel, I'm sorry. Like, I fear that I will talk about it forever. So I won't. In season 2. This is basically just Ojama cards are actually viable, you guys are just mean. So it sends high attack monsters to the graveyard to destroy his opponent's monsters and disables an opponent's monster zones to ensure that he has the upper hand. Yay! This deck is scary. Baz and Daz sure as. Shut the fuck up. But this deck is scary. It's horrific to me. But it's important that he uses these cards, specifically like Mecha Ojamas and everything, in episode 54 of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, because he's basically fighting a carbon copy of himself. So Mecha Ojama King and the Ojama Machine Yellows literally show us this idea of him giving birth to himself, metaphorically, because this is not Five Nights at Freddy's Bunny Call, this is not Matt Pat giving birth to Springtrap, I can promise you that. It shows his rebirth and spreading his ideology, which he does frequently throughout the episode. Like, a lot of people are like, dang, this dude kind of makes Obelisk Blue look like shit. Dude, this dude makes Slifer Red look fucking awesome. He doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to be in Obelisk. He doesn't want to be in anything, honestly, but he does want to be in Obelisk. He doesn't want to be in fucking Slifer. But get that. Chazz notices in this episode that Reggie idolized him from when he was in Obelisk Blue. From when he was the least happy and the least self-aggrandizing. Maybe the most self-aggrandizing, but the least self-actualized. But this duel is even self-actualizing for him, because guess what? He fucking wins using only Ojamas in the face of fucking massive attack points. It's incredible. He imparts wisdom in this duel about how nothing about yourself as a person should matter to anyone else, as long as you have the confidence and talent to back yourself up. Which he has! Chazz to be spreading his idea. What? Volty, don't say that. I'm gonna take another sippy. Hi, Dark Theory. Hi, Dark Theory. Everything's going good. My voice is in kind of rough shape, and I decided to present a 52 slide PowerPoint tonight. So it's going like that. How's your night? Are you doing good? I hope you are. I hope you are. Rare time. A wild thing being said about Chazz that wasn't from June. Hey, I gotta respect him. You said it first. I didn't say it with the implication. You said it with an implication. Wow, that's awesome. I was just playing with my friends too. I was playing Fortnite. I know I had to bring that up. I have to be like, I was just playing with my friends. I was just watching Fortnite. I was just playing Fortnite. Bolt, he's been unhinged ever since the Rub's belly incident. He's been unhinged longer than that, I'm pretty sure. Okay, I think I'm ready. For the VW Armed Ojama deck, that's what I'm calling it. Go with it. It's just sensory overload. He's putting everything that he has on the table, and none of it's working against the cult leader. He gets indoctrinated into the cult after this, by the way. So you can tell how well this deck turned out, huh? But maybe he's just trying too hard. And by using all of the facets of himself, like the armed dragons, the VWs, the Ojamas, like especially though, the parts that he was very prominently using in Obelisk, which are the VWs, he's mostly affecting a very confused and a desperate aura that he tends to have whenever the thought of his losing streak to Jaden comes up, that Sartorius specifically targets him for. So notice in the episode, the Ojamas literally try to run away and leave Chazz behind, not once but twice during this duel, which is rare because they never leave his side. They're obsessed with this man. This man is like their everything, and I can relate. That's why Ojunma Yellow exists, is because I'm really just Ojama Yellow. I'm just so obsessed. I would never leave him behind. I would never leave Chazz behind. But they try to run away and leave him behind, not once, but twice. During the duel. I'm not even mentioning before the duel when they were like, we gotta get the fuck out of here. This shit is sketch. This shit is sketch as fuck. But in this duel, you can see it that even Chazz is uncomfortable, but he's sucking it up in order to be appreciated. Sartorius has a lot of clout. He's a very famous and very popular manager of pro duelists. And he's like, oh, if I can beat him in a duel, if I can beat Sartorius in a duel, I'll be recognized. I'll be recognized as the best of the best, and that's what I've always wanted. I've always wanted that recognition because everybody makes fun of me and calls me stupid and calls me dumb. And I'm not dumb. I may be silly, but I'm not stupid, right? So Sartorius is a person who makes Chazz think of his own weakness. Which also just happens to be Jaden because, again, he really loves bringing up the fact that he loses to Jaden all the time. He really loves that. But again, the duel did not turn out well in episode 61 because guess what? Sartorius indoctrinated him into a cult. Let's talk about how he was in a cult. Basically, the Society of Light decks go right back to his Obelisk Blue roots of sacrificing pawns in order to steal control and win, and using the power and number strategy. Crazy! But notice how this one is a complete exception to the rule that I just laid out. But it's because he was purposefully trying to psych out Alexis during this duel, so it's like, okay. Because if you remember the love deck, he was also trying to psych out Alexis in order to get her to do what he wanted, which was date her. Weird. Really weird, actually. Weird guy. But he's my favorite, so I can let it slide. So in this deck, the Armed Dragon White, he purposefully duels outside of his normal style, using cards like Level Down instead of Level Up, and Infernal White, which forces him to play with his hand revealed for the entire duration that the continuous spell is on the field. In order for her to be so overwhelmed by possible moves that he could make versus the ones that he's actually making. She's literally just so in her own head and so cerebral about everything that he's able to make the most obvious plays and run her into the ground. I am so sorry, Queen, but you kind of brought that upon yourself. She got psyched out, and she paid the price, which is, again, being indoctrinated into the cult. By using White Veil on his Armed Dragon level 10, it changes the dragon to be an entirely white color. They literally whitewashed a dragon. But it's especially interesting that this happens because Chazz is literally corrupting his own cards with the Light of Destruction, with the Society of Light's ideology. Specifically the Armed Dragon, which is shown to be a reflection of the cool persona that he wants others to see him as, while he physically throws away the Ojamas later on, in a later episode. He throws away his sense of self in exchange for being admired, strong, and perfect. But he's really just using his old cool persona with a new coat of paint. So does that really work? No. We should all know this. And speaking of that new coat of paint, I love the connotation that the term white veil has. Veils are seen mainly as things to cover something up. So you pull the wool or the veil over your eyes when you're being tricked, when you're being fooled. It's also used in like ceremonies like weddings, hide the bride's face. It's like, oh, wow, isn't this awesome? She's like so mysterious and like beautiful because she's veiled and covered and she's not into the world yet. But then they pull up the veil, the husband pulls up the veil, and then there she is in the world, right? That's what weddings are. So basically, she fell for the illusion of the Society of Light due to her own short-sightedness brought about by Chazz's combo. Not only is Chazz hiding the intentions of himself and Sartorius by pulling the wool over her eyes or the white veil over her eyes, but White Veil's effect resolving signaled the end of her initiation ceremony. That's kind of crazy, right? Don't we love talking about cults here? Now, I told you guys a little bit about the Beatrons before because they're very similar to the VWXYZs that he was dealing with in Obelisk Blue in episode 4. I also put a Beatron 2 Beetle Turbo here instead of any other card like Assault Cannon Beetle or Ojamo Go Ride. Because of the dub, I don't know what happened with the season 2 script writing, but something about Beatron 2 Electric Boogaloo, Beetle Turbo, is something that lives in my mind rent free and it won't go away, and I wish it would go away. Literally, get out of my brain. Get out of my brain. It won't leave, it won't leave, it won't leave. But with this deck, Chazz just feels like he needs to use and abuse others in order to be powerful. Again, we've seen this all before. But in this duel, he purposefully sacrifices the Ojamas on multiple occasions in a way that, like, actually physically pained them. Like, they were really sad. They were really sad that whole time, and it was just horrible and mean. And the Ojama abuse in this duel shows that not only does Chazz need to use others in order to be powerful in this state, but he also has his Beatrons hurt them in order to win. So in reality, Bastion and Chazz were the two duelists in this episode. They're even in terms of their weakness against the Society of Light's tactics. They both want to be praised, to be recognized for being strong duelists, and to have a sense of community. It isn't that they themselves lack talent, because, dare I say, those two are probably the best students in all of Duel Academy. But it's that both of their downfalls hinge on their deep-seated insecurities. This is why for Chazz it's so easy to cast aside the Ojama trio, his true self or his soul, for the mask that Sartorius has given him, the ability to be palatable and popular. Cool. And here's the White Knights. When Sartorius hands out these powerful decks to his more trusted disciples, Sartorius seems to reduce Chazz and Alexis to how others perceive them. So Alexis is seen as a cold girl or an ice queen because she doesn't like other guys and her only true love in life is dueling. So she uses ice queen cards. While not only was Chazz in his quote-unquote prime worshipped by other obelisks, but he was also seen as a white knight for other girls like Alexis. He was also a feminist in Tag Force. I just thought you should know, like, they do straight up call him a feminist. Honestly, icon. But like Blue Chazz, this deck shows how in order to gain power and to gain control, he has to put people down or sacrifice others, even parts of himself. Like the Garden of the Swordsman, the Lancer, and the Lord, they could all be seen as facets of himself, right? So when sacrificing parts of himself in order to gain power, this also comes back when I talk about episode 91, which I think will be in a few slides, or I might not even talk about it all for the sake of time. I'm just really conscious about time. So sorry if I don't get to it, but that happens in episode 91. Just think about that if you do watch the episode, and if I do, upload more of these as videos. But the whole first episode of this two-parter was about how Chazz was becoming uncomfortable with the Society of Light's teachings of the light of destruction, leaving nothing of darkness or personality standing. So he encounters the color black, and he just finds comfort in it. My icon. Do you think he calls himself a feminist, or do you think he's actually fully committed in Red Theory? To be fair, the way that he treats Alexis, you would think no, but I think he does. I think he knows a little bit of feminist theory. I think that if he watched a Revolutionary Girl Utano, he would like Antihime Mia. Is that bad to say? Like he would like Antihime Mia. I think he would like Antihime Mia. But that's just me. That's just my opinion. That's my opinion! But yes, during the duel, he takes back himself. When the Ojamas make him remember that he really is just a gross, stinky slob, he fully embraces it. He embraces the parts of himself that people may dislike and runs with them. Again, in the Japanese, he did say that he was gross and that he was tainted and that he was a stain, but stains are daring and resilient and awesome. So even while everybody strives to be clean and white and pristine and whatever, which I mean is crazy to say if you think about white as in white. But if everybody's intent to be like clean and inviting and palatable to everybody, then he will dare to be the stain on life. Crazy wisdom being spouted in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. But Chazz, in taking back himself, he destroys every card on the field to then bring back the Ojamas from Jaden's graveyard by using Graveyard Swap. Also, why does he have Graveyard Swap in the first place if his cards only work when specific cards that only he has are in his graveyard? I'll never know. But he gave Jaden control of the White Knight Lord, even at the cost of the duel and the entire Gen X tournament that was going on at this time, which I'll just say now he wins the tournament. So, he's awesome. He brings back the White Knight Lord specifically so that he can destroy it with his own hands. And it was also interesting to see how Jaden countered the White Knight Lord with Ojama Knight, because it's like, White Knight crazy facade or Ojama yellow in a knight outfit. That's you. It was like holding up a mirror. Now let me be silly for a sec with this duel. I do a lot of let me be silly for a sec in this PowerPoint, and it's really just to illustrate tangents. It's here to be like, here's a little tangent. Let me yap a little bit. But throughout this duel, this specific duel in the two-parter that we were just talking about, anytime that he feels any emotion like nostalgia, etc., he's just like, let me destroy those feelings instead of feeling them. But my question is, during the duel, why does he attack specifically Ojama Black first? Because he himself aligns himself the most with Ojama Yellow. And if that's the case, why wouldn't he try to attack the thing that's the most like his old self? Well, in this episode, we find out something about the Ojama brothers. We find out some lore, some deep lore. Shoutouts to Matt Pat. Getting deep lore in here. We find out that Ojama Yellow is the youngest of the trio, which is the same as Chazz. Chazz is the youngest of his two other brothers. But Ojama Black is the oldest. And Manjome seems to harbor a lot of resentment towards his oldest sibling, whose name is Slade. So it's not Raz and Paz. But he holds a lot of resentment towards Slade, and even duels him in episode 35. Which is the Reject Well deck, by the way. Wink, wink. Maybe he attacks Ojama Black first because of his animosity towards his own eldest brother, or it could be that black is just a color that he likes the most, despite the Society of Light directly opposing that. Thus, if he was trying so hard to fit in with the society while gaining his old memories and tastes, wouldn't it make sense to destroy the darkness? Could he be wanting Ojama Yellow to feel insignificant with each of his brothers being taken down before him? I really don't know, but it's food for thought. Also, he's really embarrassed when he escapes the Society of Light's control that he has, like, quote-unquote selective memory. Like, he pretends to have selective memory about it. And the stuff that he does remember, he lies about, and he's guilty and doesn't want to admit it. He's just really cute. I'm sorry. I like him. Now for Season 3. There are some major improvements of his earlier decks, mainly the V to Z Exojamas, Infernal Incinerators, and a new Union-based fusion deck. So instead of VWXYZ, his deck is now based around Dark Blade, and it's like Union fusion support. So kind of moving from Kaiba-related cards to more of a unique dark image. You two. Stop! Stop! Leave me alone. Okay? I'm trying to be professional, but I can't be professional. So, the deck that Manjome uses in episodes 111 and 112, and by the way, you're going to hear me call him Manjome a lot more because I do not watch Season 3 in dub. So sorry to all you dub heads who like Chazz's voice at the end of Season 2 and in Season 3. I'm sorry, I don't fuck with you. I'm sorry, I don't fuck with you. But I'm going to call him Manjome from here on out because I don't watch the fucking dub of Season 3. But the deck that Manjome uses in episodes 111 and 112 is a sort of return to form, so like a callback to episode 4's V to Z's. It's ironic that he brings up vroidaa again, as it's so closely related to the moments where Manjome was a snobby rich kid who was hell-bent on using his status and influence to get what he wanted. So the major conflict in these episodes was that Manjome was projecting his own insecurities, so being seen as only a snobby rich kid, and inferiority complex onto Amon, onto, what's his name in the dub? Damon? No, not Damon. It's Emma. What's his name? Adrian Gecko! That's his name in the dub. Adrian Gecko. Sorry, I really don't. But Amon. The difference between the two is that Manjome has his pride. He has something that he stands to lose, while Amon has nothing. Also, I hate to say, but in this episode, Manjome really gives the vibe of like, privileged kid claims qualities of the oppressed as means to gain social currency. Like, I had to crawl my way up from the depths of hell. You dropped out of school because somebody beat you in a singular duel. It's not the same as Amon, who looked up at the clouds and waited to die because his family was killed in a war. He just happened to be adopted by a rich family. Like, it's not the same. And the chip on his shoulder never really helps him in any case. And he never seems to learn his lesson. Like, I don't know if that's like the season 3 writers just not knowing what to do and just repeating the same plot points every other season, but he never learns that his chip on his shoulder is bad for him. But he is pathetic about it, so I can give him a pass. Even if he loses, I can give him a pass because I love a pathetic man. Thank you very much. But on top of this, Manjome did end up using his Ojama cards, but only as a last resort. When he remembered why he duels and why he quote-unquote can't lose to people who he thinks don't understand his struggles, that's the only time that he brings up the Ojamas. Other than that, it's a vroidaa, which probably explains a lot. And Manjame's discomfort about not being able to see through the clouds and fog in this duel, specifically with Ghost Fog's attack, was something that did not escape my notice, by the way. I just don't really know what it means. Like, maybe it's that he can't see beyond himself, even though he claims to be so open-minded and forgiving. Or maybe he can't handle uncertainty, or that when he's confronted with the truth being hidden from him, he gets uncomfortable. I really don't want to think about it that much because I don't think I'd have the time to talk about it, but like, it could literally be anything, but it did not escape my notice. Trust. Dragon Catapult Cannon is just Optimus Prime, but it's kind of sexy. I can't do this anymore. I really just called a Yu-Gi-Oh card sexy for the first time on stream. I can't do this. Okay. This is what I like to call Infernal Incinerator 2 Electric Boogaloo. He did this to me. Manjome did this to me. Chazz did this to me. But honestly, I guess the season 3 writing team really hated him so much that he's just out here playing Manjome's greatest hits circa 2004. But in all seriousness, there is something to be said about Manjome sort of regressing to the decks that he used in season 1, moments before not only his hubris gets him, but his slow, quote-unquote brutal death at the hands of masses of people that are zombies, and they're people that he underestimates, is very poetic. And that's all I'll say on that. This duel, while Darkblade Voice Raider and Pishar Dragon and the Darkblade Dragonite may not mean anything significantly to his character, he is really just a drone of an evil duel spirit at this point. But there is something to be said about the moment when he chokes out Jaden using a Voice Raider. There's something to be said about that, and that's all I'm saying, because I don't want to expose myself. I don't want to expose myself. But let me be silly for a second. Up until now, I haven't brought it up, but I cannot deny it. Whenever I look at Darkblade, Mephis the Infernal General, and the Supreme King, they all look the same to me. Like, why does the Supreme King look like cards that Chazz uses when he's in his less than savory states? I'm talking Mephist, Darkblade, freaking Malicious Edge is also very similar in aesthetic to all of these cards, and Fake Hero, which I'll discuss in its own time. Why do they all look the same? This could mean one of two things to me. Either that Jaden or the Supreme King and Chazz are fundamentally the same, so using the sacrifice of, or are the ones that sacrifice others in order to gain power. Or that Jaden just thought Mephis the Infernal General was really, really cool. Sorry, Junior, exposed. Oh no, stop. Don't say that, don't say that! I'm not exposed! I'm not exposed. I'm not exposing myself. I'm just stating a fact that happened. The chokeout did happen, and 4Kids did censor it in a very weird way, where they just made Voice Raider's hand glow and nothing else. And it's like, Jaden's still getting choked out. He's still getting choked the fuck out. We can all see, we have eyes. We can interpret things, but yeah. Season 4 is just evolved Manjome. He finally accepts himself. Yes, I am gonna fall to the ground dramatically and exaggeratedly like a 10th grade theater kid whose only job in the school's production is overacting and ugly crying loudly, and they are selling it like... It just makes me happy. He's using the effects of lower level monsters in order to accentuate the abilities of higher attack monsters like his armed dragons, and he proves how compatible Ojamas are with other archetypes. It's just so awesome. Bespoke Chazz, if you will! So, Ochamanjome, I am actually going to pull up an image outside of this PowerPoint for you, just so you can see what I'm talking about when I'm talking about Ochamanjome. Like, this is real. This happened. Why did it happen? Who knows? But it happened. And it's real. And I when you see it, you'll shit bricks. And I'm not even kidding. You'll shit bricks. This is real. They did this. The animators sat down and drew this. Multiple angles, multiple things. And yes, these are all pieces of the collage that I made behind me. Hold on, there's more. He had his own little yacht because this was him as a pro duelist. He was a pro duelist here. This was his branding. This was his vibe. He had a yacht with his face on it. Otamandome is my life. Jar Jar Binks calls me stop! I love the detail that you can see his wrists and his ankles through the suit. I am... This is gonna sound fucking weird. This is like the time that I said that I wanted to feel Bandit Keith's biceps just because I wanted to know what they feel like. I want to feel his ankles. Streamer includes supplementary material in her presentation too. So much effort. Having your face in a boat is another type of egotism. Well, dude, dare I say, his manager when he was a pro duelist was an American. So, like, no shit, they're gonna be annoying. But anyway. With Ojamanjome, he used his true self, his true personality, like, you know, being stinky and being silly and being goofy, and he philanderized himself. He used the Ojamas in duels as a joke entirely. He's funny slapstick boy in an Ojama yellow costume that uses the ugly cards. LOL! That's what he is. But don't forget that the Ojama cards are important to him. He treats them like an extension of himself. And while he may have viewed his stint as Ojamanjome as the only way that he could ever be accepted into the pro dueling world, despite being tied as the top duelist overall at Duel Academy at that point, Season 4 didn't make a lot of sense, but yeah, he got rejected by like 35 different companies before being Ojamanjome and being a gag. But he played up his own insecurities as a joke to cushion himself from the idea that people might not like him for him. It's also a shield in case he loses a duel, and keep in mind that as Ojamanjome, he was always told to lose his duels. As like, you know, it was all a joke anyway, it doesn't really matter. Makes me sad. So anyway, I wanted to play a little song here, but obviously I can't do that because of copyright. But people who know Derek comedy and know Girls Are Not to Be Trusted will understand this joke, and I will be doing a really crappy cover of the song that I wanted to put in. So lend me your ears for one moment. This is what you get when you mess with us. Yeah, fuck Mike.
This is for Michael, you big fat white nasty smelling fat bitch. Sorry, I'm not gonna do a diss track on him. I could very easily. But in the second duel, okay, so in the first duel, he's dueling Jaden and he purposefully loses. Sad, we all know. Because Mike wanted him to. This is his manager fighting Michael. And he was told to lose a duel, so he did. And then he set up a duel, Mike set up a duel between him, Manjome, and Ed Phoenix, Aster Phoenix. And he was like, you're gonna lose the duel anyway, because it's not as if you could beat Ed with your own power, right? Like you're not good enough to fight Ed. You're stupid, and all you are is funny face, silly guy, slapstick little haha man. So Manjome tried to defeat Aster in their duel for 3 main reasons. 1, out of spite for Mike. 2, to live up to Judai's belief in him. And 3, to prove to himself that Judai's belief in him is valid. Very sweet, very cute. Jaden really is the guy of all time to Manjome. It's crazy. Shoutouts to Juman. Shoutouts to Yaoi. Shoutouts to Yu-Gi-Oh! Being really gay. And here, I'm making the distinction between Oja Manjome and Manjome here because he was using the same deck that he did as Oja Manjome during this duel, but he was actually trying and actually fighting for himself with his own faith, with his own sort of I'm gonna win this shit attitude. So slay. And that's all I wanted to put out here, but on the other side, it just seemed too crowded, so I didn't want to do that, so I just made it separate. But Manjome switched his tactics after Mike was arrested, because Mike was a very bad guy trying to steal the ultimate D card, and before you laugh at it being the ultimate D card, they're Destiny heroes. They just shorten them to D heroes. So they're like, it's the ultimate D. It's the ultimate D card. It's the ultimate Destiny hero card. That's just how they said it. They didn't know. They didn't know that we would make fun of it for being like, oh, dick. So ignore it, please. But you can make jokes about it being the dick card, the ultimate D. It's fine, it's fine. They have a literal character whose stage name is just the D. And the D was, in fact, responsible for murdering Aster Phoenix's father. Anyway, so after Mike was arrested for stealing the ultimate D card, Manjome switched his tactics and decided to actually try to win the duel. To actually try to beat Ed and to prove to himself that he's like, I'm awesome. I'm great. Which he is. Like, go off. And basically he was trying to prove that Jaden was right to believe in his strength and that he should believe in himself too, right? And in this shift in tactics, he eventually falls back on his Ojama cards and using direct border to make monsters with over 1,000 attack points unable to make direct attacks, and Oja marking to bring back Ojama Yellow in attack position. Manjome activated Pride Shout and attacks Aster directly, winning the duel. That's my man. And Manjome was not dueling as a character of himself this time as Oja Manjome. Instead, he was dueling as 100% him. And the fact that not only in this duel, but in previous duels as well, like when he dueled Jaden post Society of Light, he called the Ojamas and not the Armed Dragons and not the Vita Zeds the aces of his deck. It was awesome. The craziest thing was that he was actually telling the truth, so even the Ojama themselves were put off guard, but grateful, obviously, because they are his babies. They're his little army. Dare I say his goons. And honestly, if I was Ojama Yellow in that moment, I would also be bouncing off of the motherfucking walls. Because holy fuck. And him using Pride Shout only seals the deal that the Ojamas are his aces and that he actually genuinely likes them as cards and as people and as his little friends. Because he defeated Aster with the pride that he has in himself and his cards. And also, this is the last deck that he ever uses in the show. So, like, I'm not crying, you are. What are you talking about? And this is my final silly of the section because it actually mirrors the ending of episode 4's duel. Season 1, episode 4's duel. In which, when Jaden was dueling him, Jaden had made it so that his ace, I heard bouncing off and thought that sentence was going into, oh my god!
No, we are not bouncing on the Blue Man Group today. What? We're not bouncing on that thing. We're not bouncing off that thing either. But they're just the same. They're just the same duels, okay? So Jaden in episode 4 is confronted with rare high attack monsters that everybody's telling him, you cannot beat this man. Don't even try. And at what could have been the final turn before his loss, Jaden draws Transcendent Wings, which uses Winged Karibo, his ace monster's effect, to clear the field. And on Jaden's next turn, he only needed to draw a miracle. One monster with more than 1,000 attack points, and he'd win. And the card that he ended up drawing was Elemental Hero Avian, which is a normal monster with exactly 1,000 attack points. And in Manjome's situation, in his duel with Aster, he's forced to set aside his own insecurities in order to defeat the ultimate D. And then his Versa, dare I say, can I just say the ultimate D card is basically indestructible against even armed dragons and their abilities. So that's kind of fucked up. But using his low attack monster effects to clear the entire field, all he had to do was draw the right card to deal the finishing blow of 1,000 damage, which he does with Pride Shout and Ojama Yellow. So in both of these situations, in episode 4 and in this final episode, Manjome and Jaden's ace monsters, the ones that have the dual spirits, play a major role in their victories. And they're like, they solidify them as, that's my ace. That's my baby right there. And now I know that we were just talking about season 4, but we really get to see how Manjome feels about the Ojamas all the way back in season 2, episode 91. I always thought that this episode was strange because Manjome was so involved in it, even if he didn't have any stake in the duel itself. Like, he wasn't dueling in that episode, but they make a point of him being there. And not only is this dude, who is the feature of the episode, his name is Ikaku, from North Academy, and calls Manjome out in particular as a person in Gen X to beat, but he notices the similarities between them. Because Ikaku says, I don't care about my soul, I just want to win Gen X, and then sells his soul to the Grim Reaper. And Manjame has a very similar thing that happens in season 2, where he really goes like, I don't care about myself, I just want to win. I want to keep up appearances because everyone wants me to succeed. That's been his main thing, his main insecurity forever, his chip on his shoulder, is I need to put up appearances, I need to succeed because everybody's counting on me. And then he joins the Society of Light. So basically, Ikaku's deal is that he loves his deck so much, but it never works for him because he doesn't have good draw power. He is literally making the shittiest deck known to man on the off chance that miraculously everything that needs to happen will happen, which is an insane ask for Yu-Gi-Oh! A game about shuffling cards and drawing cards and crossing your fingers and hoping, I want to do my OTK now. Like, it's not gonna work. He doesn't have good draw power. He built his deck to fucking fail, basically, but he really wants it to work. But the thing is that even though Chazz and Ikaku, Manjame and Ikaku, kind of have different ways of going about building decks, because Ikaku is trying to go all in on the 1% of the luck side of things, whereas Manjame leans more towards the intellect, the strategy, the careful planning. They're actually extremely related to each other, because Manjome would also put himself on the line to prove that his deck is worthy of love, or is powerful because he believes in it. Manjome is very much about, like, proving himself, obviously. We've talked about this the whole fucking PowerPoint so far. And that he especially wants to prove that his low attack monsters are strong and powerful. Manjame puts himself into his decks, and Ikaku put all of his dreams and hopes into this deck. Like, oh, this is gonna be so badass when it works. And he says in the episode, like, on obviously the top quote on here is like, I wanted to show everyone this deck that I love so much. And in the end, they're basically the same, because he loves his deck, but he lacked heart or, like, faith in himself, right? So when he does gain that faith through Jaden's help, even when he loses, he cries out of love for his deck. And for some reason, Monjome at the end gets a focus where he looks away and smiles, and that's it. Like, you didn't fucking do anything this whole time. What are you talking about? But we all know that he smiled because Jaden did the same thing for him, like 10 times over every fucking season. Jaden just gives him the confidence in himself to keep dueling because he already has faith in the cards. He just doesn't have faith in himself. And so, from what we've looked at with his decks, the armed dragons represent his brute strength, the way that he wants to be seen by others, sort of like his pride or his accomplishments, right? And the Ojamas represent his resilience, his imperfection. They remind him that there's a layer below the bottom of the barrel, so that layer allows him to get himself out of a scrape because he could never fail. As hard as them. He sucks, they suck more, you know? And they also give him the confidence to fail and not spiral. And the Vita Zeds represent his connections with others, either that being healthy or toxic or abusive connections. The fact that he continues to use the Vita Zeds post episode 4, in which those cards were given to him by Crowler, and multiple times throughout the series, we see he and Crowler have a bond, either positive like we see in later seasons or negative like we see in the early seasons, because again, he is kind of the reason why Chazz ran away from school. So, don't think on that too much. They're actually besties now. And each of these archetypes have gained a lot of support in recent years in order to, like, you know, connect them all together, make it truly cohesive, like, this is a Chazz deck! And the ones on the bottom, I just picked because they look cute, and they all have particular synergy with each other, but they're mostly cute. I just like them. I love the Ojama pajama. I love their little pajama party. And that's all I wanted to say on that, you know? It's just they all represent different aspects of himself and the different parts of him that make him unique. And if they're all put to good use, everything just works. Everything just works. It's all lovely. So, we return to the first question that I asked all the way back at the beginning of this lecture, which is, who the fuck is this bitch? And finally, we have an answer. You know what that answer is? My trash! I'm just kidding. Obviously, Chazz is extremely layered, but at the end of the day, he's my trash. He's Chazz! Exactly! At the end of the day, he's Chazz. Now, I want to talk about his Gap Moe as well. I'm not just talking about his cards. I'm not just doing a card analysis. I'm talking about his Gap Moe. So in the dub, there is a lot of emphasis placed on Chazz's introspection, his inner thoughts, outside of when it helps explain the actions that he's taking. It's like in episode 12, when he decides to trash Bastion's deck, it's really just like, oh man, my brothers suck. Wow, it seems like the Slifer Reds and Bastion are leaving the door for the night. Maybe I can go in there and destroy his deck so that I can win the duel. Like that kind of thing, right? But in Japanese, Monjome does a lot of thinking, and a lot of his character is expressed in episode 2 especially through the gap between his thoughts and his words and actions. And this is made abundantly clear again in episode 2, because in episode 2, he calls Asuka, who I call Asurin, but he calls Asuka Asuka-sama in his head, but out loud he calls her Tenjoin-kun. So he has that weird power play with the honorifics that he uses to describe her, because in his thoughts, he idolizes her. He really likes her. So he calls her by like a neutral, sort of positive, sort of more polite honorific, and uses her first name. Asuka. Like, that's crazy. Like, what the heck is happening? But out loud, when he's addressing her in person, he's like, oh, last name. Oh, Tenjoin-kun. Like, you're so below me. You're so beneath me. It's freaking Tenjoin-kun. Stop playing. Stop playing with yourself. You love this girl. You love this girl. You see her and you get all flushed, you get all blushed, you get all doki doki surune. You get so flushed. And then you straight up just say, oh, I'm so much better than you. Oh my god. Tenjoin-kun, what's going on? I can't believe Asuka was watching my duel. You know? That's cringe. That's cringe, but it's like, it's so cute. It's the Gap Moe. But also, in his thoughts, he notes the value of luck and strategy. And he kind of puts them on even playing field, whereas he describes luck as part of the process of winning, but the actual determiner of victory is strategy and calculation. But when he tells Jaden in the episode, like, oh, only 99% of duels are decided by intellect and luck is only 1%. So really, what can you do? You're stupid for relying on luck. Stupid little boy. What? You gonna cry? That kind of thing. Gatmo is so cute. And now I do want to talk about Fake Hero, because I mentioned it earlier, and we have time to talk about it, so I'm going to talk about it. Fake Hero is obviously Chazz. This is obviously Manjome. It's got the ugly sweater, got the ugly jacket, got the ugly hair. It's him, and I'm calling them ugly, but he's not ugly. He's very pretty and very handsome, and I like him. But ugly. Ugly at the same time, okay? And despite it being in Jaden's deck and really only working with elemental hero cards, it's fucking Chazz. So, again, with the hair, the jacket, the sweater, he's obviously Chazz. But what would it mean for Chazz to be a fake hero in the first place, in this instance? So saying that Chazz is a fake hero implies that he's pretending to be somebody that he's not. This tends to be the case for his character throughout the GX anime, especially when he duels Jaden. And if you didn't realize this after we went over all of his different personas by analyzing the cards that he uses, I really don't know what to say. But being this fake hero doesn't just extend to Chazz pretending to be cool or a dark duelist who walks an infernal path. He's pretending to be or is greatly inspired by Jaden himself. Dude even whips out the gotcha, the little... Hold on, I'll show you the screenshot, man. I was taking screenshots earlier today. I was really happy. Dude whips out the fucking gotcha. Dude literally copies Jaden when he's not in the room. He's like, I just won the duel. Look at me, gotcha. I'm so much better than you. Bro's a thief. Bro's a thief. Bro's a fan. That's what it is. Bro's a fan. Fan behavior. Pretending to be something he's not. But literally, he's just so cringe. Gat Moe, fake hero. And also, the episode where Jaden uses the Ojamas, which is the same episode where Manjame uses the White Knights, the Ojamas get to dress up as heroes. Jaden tells them not to. They do it anyway, because they're really excited about it. And they're like, we're the O heroes. And they wear very similar costumes to what is illustrated in Fake Hero. So I don't know, it's cute. It's whatever. And dare I say, something really gay that happened involving Fake Hero is that at the end of the entire series, he uses Fake Hero to summon Elemental Hero Neos, to then fuse Elemental Hero Neos with a Rainbow Dragon to make Rainbow Neos. The thruple is real. The Jaden, Jesse, and Chazz thruple is real. I don't like that guy. Copies his mannerisms of his crush. Oh, that's so, yeah. Okay, so here's him doing the gacha. There's him doing the gacha. Hooray. And then, I want to talk about this. I couldn't find a good enough place to talk about it in regards to like a specific deck that he uses, but it's important to me, so I want to give this point a slide. And I noticed that I think it was Colossal that was talking about how cool this card's artwork is. It's fucking awesome. Everything about this, wow. But again, I want to talk about it because this card, Despair from the Dark, is in every single one of Chazz's decks, and he uses it whenever he wants to discard a card to activate an effect of one of his higher attack point monsters, like the Armed Dragon. So, I wanted to give it its own slide. Despair from the Dark is cool. And it's an often overlooked element of Chazz's decks and his character, is that he's just fucking sad. He has despair. He has very palpable despair a lot of the time. And in the case of having a card that represents the sort of guttural sadness that he has, fucking Despair from the Dark right there. It's a despair that comes from the deepest part of himself, from his shame
of not being able to, you know, live up to his brother's expectations, not living up to anybody's expectations, and being left behind by the people that he admires and cares about. So it's basically despair that hides within his darkness. Wow, how sweet and how cute. And now, you may have noticed that throughout many of my slides, I featured despair from the dark, but I never really mentioned why it was there. It's because it's so out of place, it doesn't really fit his deck types at all. Because it's a zombie card, which already says a lot. Like, again, we think about his first deck that he ever used, and we think about how he was in that state, you know? He was used as a pawn, he was used as a sacrifice for other people to look better and to gain control. So basically, everybody had power over him, despite him seeming to have a lot of power within the Dual Academy ecosystem. And it also showcases a lot of, you know, elements of death, rebirth, of revenge, or of a return of something powerful. As you can see from the card's artwork, that shit is coming out of graves, and it is big, it is huge, and it is menacing. But my focus is on how Chazz uses this card during duels. Because again, he never summons it directly, and instead he always discards it. He discards his fears, his worry, and most importantly, his despair in order to use his armed dragons or XYZ's abilities and destroy anything in his way. And I think that's really powerful, especially looking at his sort of waste not, want not pattern of behavior. Like, he keeps the powerful despair that he holds within himself around because he can use it to make himself stronger. This is sweet. And when being indoctrinated into the Society of Light, here's more parts of, you know, how despair affects his character, because it does affect him a lot, and I don't think a lot of people realize really the extent of it. But when he's being indoctrinated into the Society of Light, Sartorius reveals that when he foresaw Chazz's destiny being resigned to never overcome his desire to defeat Jaden, he was unable to stop the sorrow welling up in his heart, and he cried. And when Chazz was being consumed by the darkness in Season 4, we saw him quite literally fall into despair. When Chazz was being consumed, it was because his fear that putting his faith into his deck will end in his failure was so all-consuming. It was so in his head, even if he didn't outright think about it now, because he had a support system and he had people who cared about him, and he had his Ojamas, and he proved time and time again that the Ojamas are strong. He proved it many times. Somehow, he still had that fear just ingrained in him, that darkness and that despair just ingrained in him, that what if it doesn't work? What if my deck doesn't listen to me? Even though I have faith in it, and even if I have faith in myself still, what if it doesn't happen? So again, he falls into despair a lot. My little baby. But he keeps it around because it does make him stronger. And that's why the darkness in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX isn't as bad as the Light of Destruction. The Light of Destruction wipes out everything. Wipes out everything. Any sort of darkness, any sort of personality, any sort of jagged edge, anything, it's gone, right? Completely over. Because the Light of Destruction wants everything to be unified, everything to be one thing, and everything to be pure white, right? But with the darkness exists because of personality, because of differences and fears and traumas and emotions and all that kind of stuff that the Light of Destruction wanted to destroy. That's why it's not that bad. But it's still bad because, again, makes people fall into despair. And guess what happens when people fall into despair? They get apathetic. Everybody gets apathetic. They stop caring about themselves. They stop caring about other people. They stop caring about the state of the world. And to be fair, that's what the Light of Destruction did too. It's literally just a fucking circle. Just a fucking circle. But it's just, you know, one becomes the other, and then the extremes kind of cycle, right? And that's why something like the Gentle Darkness, which the Supreme King and Jaden kind of preside over, is justified. But, you know, the darkness is generally a lot better because, you know, it makes Chazz cool. So, to be continued. Wow, this could happen more. Isn't that exciting? I think I made good time. I think I made really good time on that. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Tell me, are you gonna watch Yu-Gi-Oh! GX after this? Are you gonna watch Yu-Gi-Oh! GX after this? Are you gonna? Because I am. I'm gonna watch Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. I'm gonna keep watching it until I can't watch it anymore.
I'm gonna read some comments now. I'm gonna read some of your chats because I don't know. It's cool. Rainbow Neos is canonically the gayest Yu-Gi-Oh card. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I've seen Ma'at himself. I've seen Jaden and Chazz summon Ma'at themselves in the fucking manga. I've witnessed that. That's pretty gay. That's like the representation of everything in Yu-Gi-Oh! DM, which is again extremely gay. I mean, nothing's stopping me from watching UGX. On God, real. Maybe he'd be less sad if he took a shower or something. Stop. That's true though. June, this is insane detail to notice. It almost comes off like it was a card he's had since child. Oh, bro. It kind of does, actually. You know, when you play Yu-Gi-Oh! For any extended period of time, there's always like that one card that you put into your deck all the fucking time. Like, oh, there's fucking Dave. There's Dave again, and you just go through all of your decks and just like, oh, there's Dave. Dave's here too. Thanks, Dave. I don't know why I named him hypothetical card Dave. Like, it's fucking Dave. But yeah. Spare from the Dark fucking whips. Fuck yeah. Ma'at is objectively gayer? Dude, we should get a poll. We should do a poll sometime where it's like, which is gayer, and it's Rainbow Neos and Ma'at. But then again, I feel like it would be unfair to Ma'at because most people don't watch or read the GX manga. Know what I mean? Wow. I was so scared. I was so scared to present this. Dave Beans, man. It's the Dave Beans, man. In summary, to Chazz it up is to shed inhibition and embrace one's true self, no matter how cringe. Exactly, dare I say. Hold on. I'll pull up my meme, because again, this meme is mine. I made it. I made it myself. Let me see if I can, like, actually use my computer. Let me see if I can actually use my computer for a second. I don't know why. I'm not good at using the computer. But hold on. I have memes for this. Because again, I did make them. I made them myself. No, I'm not doing that. I'm so sorry. But I may be cringe, but I am free! Also, once I tweak some of the information on the Redbubble page, I will put this up and you can buy this. This is a design that you can buy as a sticker or a shirt or anything on my fucking Redbubble. It is real. No stream is complete without a SpongeBob reference, Pog. That's so true! I'm Stimbob! I'm Chazbob! I'm Chazbob. I'm Chazbob. I'm Ojama Bob. I'm Oja Bob. I'm Oja Bob. Funnily enough, though, oh my god, speaking of referencing fucking SpongeBob and Manjome, same voice actor. Stim it up. Oh my god. Cease and desist letter speedrun. Shut up. It hasn't been taken down yet, bro. I'm living large. But yeah, fun fact, Manjome and SpongeBob, same voice actor. And he does a very good job. He did a very scarily good job. R.I.P. We lost a real one. We lost a real one! In, like, fucking June of 2024. We lost a G. I want to get the tapestry of this, no joke. Oh my god. Really? Dude, I could just print these myself too, keep in mind. Keep in mind, I could just print these myself. Give them out, send them to people. Thank you for referencing my earlier Ojama Bob. Dude, if I ever took a break in speaking, it was either to catch my breath because, again, I really wanted to get through this as fast as possible because my voice was dying, and because I was reading the chat. I love chat. I love reading chat. I think chat is probably the best thing about streaming. But also I get to force everybody who's on my streams to listen to me yap about my favorite guy, Manjame! Manjame-san da yo ne. My favorite man. My baddie. Streamer loves chat? I knew it. Shush. I take it back. Never mind. I hate chat and I hate all of this. Ooh, gimme. Depends. How much are you willing to give me? Don't say a low amount. You gotta say over $50 because shipping is crazy. Makes sense. Oh, don't cry, Blue. Don't cry. I take it back. Take it back. You're okay now. You know what? I'm tolerant of chat. I'm tolerant of chat, and they're valuable to the streaming experience. That's it. Boom. Baba booey. I got you, fam. Don't worry. But yeah, I could make so many more parts of this freaking PowerPoint. It's actually crazy. Like, she really talking. She really making sense. She really jumping to conclusions. I'm jumping to conclusions. I will give you enough. I don't like the sound of that. I don't like the sound of that. Never mind. I don't think I'll get you anything. I don't think I'll get you it. Never mind. This TED Talk is giving me an idea. We'll report back on the Discord at a later time. I want to hear about it now! You don't have to tell me now, but I want to hear about it now! Gimme. Volty gotta calm his ass down. I know. Dude's getting a little crazy. Getting a little crazy about this tapestry. Dare I say a fun little fact. If you ever send a Yu-Gi-Oh meme, like a Yu-Gi-Oh GX meme on the Discord, chances are I already follow the person who posted it on my main account, on my main Twitter. But something about that is that I gained a very significant follower that was pretty popular in the Yu-Gi-Oh shitpost scene back in the day, back in like 2020, 22, 23, 24. He's on a hiatus now, and I don't know how long it'll be, because honestly, making jokes about Yu-Gi-Oh! GX for as long as he did, I'm, like, honestly certain that you've got to burn out at some point. But he made a tweet randomly, and I was like, oh my gosh. That's crazy. Because he had posted a picture saying, yo, my friend just got me this shirt off of Redbubble, and it's so funny, like, it's so silly. Looked at it, it was one of my memes. It was one of my shirts. It was one of my shirts that I put up on Redbubble, and I was like, I was in the comments, I was like, I made that! That's mine! And he's like, whoa, really? And then he followed me, and we're mutuals. And if I check Twitter and I see that we're not mutuals anymore, or that he deleted his account, I'll be so sad. I'll be really, really sad. Like, come on, Green Dorm student, come back! I miss you! We never talked, but I miss you. You were so funny. And you bought one of my shirts! That's crazy! Internet famous streamer? Wow, dude. I feel like I gave internet famous people clout in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX circles. Because I was the first person to comment on Neospatian Aqua Dolphin's ass being censored in the English dub of Yu-Gi-Oh! And then all of a sudden, like a week later, I see every big Yu-Gi-Oh! GX shit poster talking about it, and I'm like, I did that first. That was me. That was me. I did that. I was looking too closely at Neospatian Aqua Dolphin's ass to be able to report that information. And then the same thing happened when I talked about Sparkman's ass being uncensored in the dub. Same thing happened. And then also with, I believe, in Elemental Hero Avian, I did the same thing. I was just talking about Elemental Hero's asses. I was also really big for making a meme about a Neospatian Mudball Man. Neospatian? Oh my god, Elemental Hero Mudball Man. I'll show it! I still have it. I still have this one too. This is also mine. This is also one of my memes. It's so fucking big. I did not think it was that big. I feel like this is just gonna be like, expose myself. Expose my Yu-Gi-Oh! GX memes. This is Mudball Man. The M stands for Mudball Man. Is what I called it. Dude talking about asses and how she was super big. Dude, stop. Stop. Oh my, yeah, I drew this. And I was like, the M stands for Mudball Man. And I thought it was so stupid and that it wouldn't catch on. And then all of a sudden I woke up and it kind of blew up. I was like, oh, fuck. Evil. Why the fuck did I giggle like fucking Woody Woodpecker? Gotta switch it to W for Wumbo. It's a Mumbo Ming. Yeah. Everyone thought this was funny, and honestly, I didn't get it. I just drew it, and I was like, oh, there it is. And then I posted it, and everyone was like, holy fuck, you are so funny. Like, bro, I know I'm funny. I don't need you to tell me that I'm funny. Woodball Wan. Woodball Wan! It's a Woodball Wan. Yeah, dare I say, I've been in the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX shitpost community for a while. I just never post any of my shitposts because I don't think they're that funny. Hold on, is there another one? I have like a few. I don't think I have them anymore. I think I deleted them. Dang, man, this sucks. Oh wait, I made this. I made this too. I made this too, and it's supposed to be, you know, like Konami and Crystal Beast Sapphire Pegasus. It's like a spubby based on Barbie Magic of Pegasus, but it's Crystal Beast Sapphire Pegasus because that was a big meme in the community for a while. It's just the existence of Crystal Beast Sapphire Pegasus. I don't know. I really just wanted to farm. I wanted to farm engagements on Yu-Gi-Oh! GX shitpost Twitter. Ah! That's so cringe. I'm kidding, guys. I'll move back to the chatting screen. We're just chatting now. We're just having a good time. Or I could just close it out. It really doesn't matter. Because my throat is kind of sore. And I'm very happy to have been able to share this with you. You know? It's been a big thing for me. And I'm always really nervous when it comes to sharing like kind of intellectual ideas, which is why I downplay them all and sound really awkward when I talk about it, just because it's like, I don't know. Again, I don't have confidence in myself. Wow. Me and Chazz are really like this. We're really just the same. And honestly, it's not that crazy to think about, do I want to be him or do I want to date him? Or am I already him? Nah, I'm him. I'm not him. Just like how you clip farm now, and I don't clip farm! This is just how streaming is. This is how you be streamer. You exaggerate. And I exaggerate for fun. I don't exaggerate for like clip farming. I exaggerate for it's easier for me to edit videos if I find it funny. Is that really so bad? Is it really so bad? I would say no. I mean, I remember back in the day when queso was getting really popular and everyone was like, oh my gosh, queso out here clip farming again. Like, shut up. He's being entertaining. And the other night you said you purposefully say stuff to put in your Doom core. That's not true. That's not exactly what I said. There was more nuance to that. I said that I purposefully say stuff so that when I go back and edit videos, I'm not ripping out my hair and pulling out my teeth one by one. Girl, do I want them or do I want to be them? It's such a mood. That's literally what it is. Except I feel like I've just steadily become Manjome to the point where it's like I watch an episode and I'm like, dang, we're really the same, huh? I don't know whether to be sad or to be like proud. I don't know whether to be sad or to be proud or to be embarrassed of being so cringe. I don't know. It's very, very silly. Very silly situation that you find yourself in when you're parasocial for a character. Streamer looking at Chazz like Narcissus looking at his reflection. Oh god, that is true. Oh no. Dude, I was watching episodes, and obviously I'm gonna watch more episodes when it's actually Chazz's birthday. Well, literally, I was like, This is just how my friends interact with me, and this is just how I interact with my friends. They make fun of me. I say, shut the fuck up! And then they bully me more. So, when is the Ojunma suit stream? I need that to happen. I need to become, Ojunma yellow. I don't know. I don't have... Ojumanjome has such a ring to it. Ojunma does not. It doesn't have the same vibe. We need more syllables. But I mean, at least we got Ojunma yellow over here. She's divine. Look at her. Like she's inviting you. She's so inviting and welcoming. What do you mean that's every stream? What? Next donathon is raising money for a modeled Ojunma suit. Yup. You guys know it. Come on. Or it could be when I do my live 2D. Whoa. And then live 2D, one of the toggles is just the Ojunma suit. I pay a little bit extra and I get an Ojunma suit. That'd be so silly. Because honestly, Ojumanjome is so fucked up and scary and horrific to even witness. Like, that's a crime, but it's my crime. But at the same time, it's kind of cute. Like, is it bad that I think that it's kind of cute? Ojunma Yellow has behaved very well tonight. Well, I think it's because that I haven't simped this stream. I haven't simped this stream because guess what? I'm simping through my devotion and admiration and respect to not simp for him this time. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna say anything bad or anything sus. Dare I say, note how many sus things I said in the stream. Can we all bring around the tally? Because I know the tally will be 0! Actually, no, it would be 1 because I did call Vita Z hot. Like, I called Vita Z Dragon Catapult Cannon sexy. So, never mind. But it would be 1. It would be 1 if we counted up a tally of how many sus things I'd say. It would only be 1 thing, and it would be not about Manjome, but about a Yu-Gi-Oh card. So I stay winning. I'd win, except it's not I did win. Shockingly, no tally mark was added to the Scooby-Doo counter. Well, dare I say, now it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen when you least expect it. The Scooby-Doo will happen. If this was a Bandit Keith stream, this would be a way different story. That's so true. If it was a Bandit Keith stream, it would truly just devolve into me being like, wow, I want to touch his biceps. I want to touch his skin and see how it feels. What if I wore his skin? No, I don't think I'd want to wear his skin. Let's be fair and let's be honest. Too much facial hair for me. I'm glad streamer didn't call us out by name to answer questions during her lecture. Oh, that's true. What? What do you mean, what? I'm very normal about Bandit Keith. I say as I'm extremely abnormal about him, but come on. He's hot. That man looks like a dumpster. Let me touch him. Let me feel him, you know? Let me feel him. I want to take off that bandana. I want to take off those glasses. I want to see what he looks like underneath them. I'm gonna stop. Because we should be normal. You kiss your mother with that mouth? No, I don't kiss my mom. What? Who would be out here kissing their mom? I talk to my mom with this mouth. I don't kiss my mom. Dare I say, a lot of my family is very much no touch. Except, like, you know what? It's like no hug. Have you never heard of that saying? Yes, I have, but the thing is that saying is just so stupid. Because who would use that now? Who would do that now? Except maybe the French and maybe Italian. But certainly not North Americans. Not Americans. What if he took off the bandana and his hairline was receding? Well, that's why he has bangs. That's why he has bangs. Dare I say, if a man does not have bangs, my mother said this and I live by it. If a man does not have bangs, he's Mr. Clean. And I'm not dating Mr. Clean, I'm sorry. That's just not for me. I'm sorry to any, like, baldies in the chat. You're not that attractive to me. I don't like bald people. And if your hairline is receding, just cover it up with bangs. It's so easy. You could even buy, like, those fake, like, clip-on bangs. Fake clip-on bangs, or, like, I don't know, hair plugs. Actually, no, not hair plugs, because hair plugs have, like, other problems with them, I've heard. But, you know, get bangs. What if he kind of got a Walton Goggins thing going on? No. I don't think he would have anything like that. Dude is fucking 26. Dude is young. Bandit Keith is a youth, and he died young. And then he was brought back to life also young. And then he died again, presumably young. So he wouldn't have anything like that going on. Nope, his hair would be relatively healthy. Maybe a little bit of receding, but not that much, because he's, you know, not in his 40s. He's in his mid to late 20s. But he's very handsome anyway. Sorry, I thought about him. I should, like, stop thinking about it. Stop picturing him. You'd be surprised how quickly some guys go bald. I knew a guy in high school that was getting bald as he— What?! Honestly, to be fair, the amount of stress that that Maximilian Pegasus had incurred on Bandit Keith's life, he would probably be balding. He would probably be balding early. But I don't know. I don't trust it. I'm gonna think, because he's an anime character, he is beating male pattern baldness for as long as he can. To be fair, he treated his hair like shit, so that might be why. You know what? Yeah, that's probably why. If he treated his hair like shit and he had, like, really bad, like, self-regulation and, like, stress problems, bro was not doing that. Bandit Keith seems more like his hair would be thinning rather than balding. Ah! You know what? I feel like Bandit Keith would have really thick hair. I feel like he would be the type of person to have really thick hair. And then when he was, like, in his 30s or 40s, like late 40s, he would probably, like, grow it out and have, like, a ponytail thing going on. I don't know. And it would look really bad. And I wouldn't be able to accept him for that. If June were to go bald, you would use her forehead as a mirror? Not true. I think you're projecting. I think you might be projecting because you have a big forehead. You assume that I have a big forehead, when actually the forehead is supposed to be big. It's about the size of your hand. It's the size of your fingers, about 4 to 5 fingers. How big your forehead is. And that's why there's the forehead emo. I'm kidding. That's not it. Yeah, but you got that Mega Mind special. No, I don't. Good drinky. Good sippy, good drinky. Well, guys, it has been about 2 hours. I am surprised. I'm genuinely so surprised that I got through that PowerPoint so quickly. I really did condense the shit out of that, because there was a lot. Like, I don't think you guys understand when, like, the actual scale and scope of it when I say that the original PowerPoint is 104 slides, but it's 104 slides. I go into stuff about the manga. I go really in depth about the manga. I go deeper into, like, individual events. I go deeper into, like, what the, you know, dual spirits mean. I talk about what the Ojamas mean. I talk about his connection to, like, Mars, the planet, in astrology and in, like, different other spheres. I talk about fucking him and tarot cards, because the cult leader is all about tarot. Like, I go through all of that stuff. It's actually crazy. And I go through all of the different points of his cringe, and I also talk about, like, the etymology of his name and how that contributes to his character. It's crazy. Chazz lecture director's cut when? I don't know. I feel like it'd take a while to do, but I would love to do that. I would love to do that because it's all very interesting. It's all very interesting, and it's about things that I like. And you know, I wanna do streams in the future where I do tarot. So I think it would be good to have like everybody brush up on it through, I don't know, fucking Chazz. Because I love Chazz and I wanna share the love with everybody. Oh, that's my man. My baby. My baby. You're my baby. Say it to me. Was 5-headed an insult because it means your head is 5 fingers long? Yeah, I think so, yeah. I think so. It's because 5 is bigger than 4, but no one has a 6 head, so what the fuck even? I don't know. Excellent presentation, by the way. Respectable golf clap. Thank you. That made my day, that made my night. Because I don't like presenting things. I think as a presenter, I'm not that good at presenting. But the ideas that I have are very, very, very personal to me. So it's hard to be like, yes, I'll present this and it'll be awesome. And then I go to present it and I'm like, never mind, I'm scared. Never mind, I don't have the confidence. I'll just be goofy and say everything really weirdly. You know? Now June can present it to us in person on a stage. No! Oh, I couldn't do that. I couldn't bear to do that. No. That'd be not fun, I would say. At least for me, I don't know. I get genuinely, funnily enough, is that I hate presenting things, and in school I was like terrified to do presentations. But it's like I'm a streamer. I'm a VTuber. That's literally basically my fucking job. That's literally my job here, is to talk to you guys live off the cuff. Like, it's, I don't know why, but I'm very passionate about like communicating and, you know, having deeper discussions into what we read, what we see, all of that kind of stuff, what media we consume and what it's trying to tell us and what it could possibly try to tell us. Because I loved English when I was in high school. And dare I say, every single time I see a person who has a take like, maybe the curtains were blue in this book because the curtains were fucking blue. What if that's it? And I want to pry open your mouth and shove bugs down your throat. If you ever say anything like that. No. It is never that simple. And sometimes it is, but it's really good to be able to look into it through different lenses. It's so important. And I feel like with a lot of the projects that I take on that are like, oh, I want to make this huge presentation, manifesto kind of thing, I kind of get lost in the amount of ways that I could interpret something that it just becomes so muddy when I try to think of like, what'd be a good way to explain this all? Like, what kind of order would I want to present these ideas in, right? But literally the reason I got into VA work is because I wanted to act, but can't stay the live crowd. Yeah! There's something so inherently cringy to me about acting. Like, specifically the thought of myself acting, that it's actually pushed me away from a lot of opportunities. Just because, like, I assume that everybody's thinking that it's cringe that I'm acting. So, and in that way, I'm like, oh, that's cringe, oh no, and then it comes back on me full force, and it's not very fun. But it's whatever, it's what we do, and now I'm streaming as a job, so, and by streaming as a job, I mean right now, because I have no fucking job. Streaming is my job. And also I'm getting paid, so there's also that. Which is fun. I'm actually very excited. I wanna keep doing more things, and I wanna keep, you know, pushing forward, barreling forward. But sometimes it is hard. Like, my voice isn't used to talking for such long periods of time, so I might have to cut it just because my voice can't take it anymore. But this was fun. Remember, August 1st is Chazz's day. Chazz's beautiful birthday. He is turning 36. and he's my little baby. But he's also me. But he's also my baddie and my Pookie Bear. For me, it's like an instinctual deer in the headlights response. Dude, you get white roomed, it's bad. It happens to everybody. Like, I think multiple times during this presentation, I just fully just zoned out a little bit because I'm like, holy fuck. All right, everybody, for the man of the hour, Chazz it up! Yay! Yay, everybody, Chazz it up! Or if you're feeling quirky, you gotta do the each juice, some manjo yay! This is good. I love Chazz. I'm gonna watch so much Yu-Gi-Oh! GX on August 1st. It's gonna go crazy. And again, yeah, no other stream. I don't know if I want to continue streaming on YouTube. There's a big reason behind that. And the big reason is that I hate logging in and out of my accounts on OBS every fucking time that I want to change where I'm streaming, like what platform I'm streaming on. So it'll probably take me a little bit longer to be able to, you know, get like YouTube streams up and running and things like that. But when that does happen, just remember that I'm here. Mondays and Saturdays. It'll happen. Just know. But not yet. Not yet. Chazz up, Jaden up. Shut up! Jaden it up! What a loser! It's Chazz it up. It's like you don't know anything, Volty. Come on! Wake up! Get with the times. Chazz it up. 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 Yay! And dare I say, do I even want to cast my magic spell, or do I just want to Chazz it up for the road? I'm thinking we Chazz it up, okay guys? Are you ready? Come on. One big Chazz it up for the road, okay guys? Magic spell? You want the magic spell? I'll do the magic spell. Actually, I'll do the magic spell. I'll do a magic spell, and then in the beam, I'll Chazz it up, okay? So, here's the magic spell to make sure that your day, night, evening, whenever you're watching this, it could be your twilight, your new moon, your eclipse, or your breaking dawn. Even better. And if you don't know the words, I'll say it slowly so that you can learn too. And if you do know the words, say it in chat, or try to telepathically communicate it to me, and I will try my best to understand and receive those messages because my mentality is perfect in every possible way, okay? Are you ready? Moe, choo!